Chosen one. Pause for a moment. Heaven has interrupted your scrolling, not by accident, but by divine design. You feel it, don't you? That subtle stillness pressing against your spirit, the sense that something holy is happening right now. This is not random. This is not coincidence. This is the moment heaven whispers, "It's over. The victory is already yours." The battle that raged inside you, the storm that surrounded your heart, the endless nights where your prayers seemed unanswered, all of it led to this divine pause. You were never forgotten. You were never forsaken. You were being refined. Heaven was not punishing you. Heaven was preparing you. You have fought long and hard, believing even when it hurt, standing when everything in you wanted to collapse. But now, the war is over. The decree from heaven has been signed. The outcome is sealed in your favor, as the Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah in chapter 55, verse 12. You will go out in joy and be led in peace. The mountains and hills will burst into song, and all the trees will clap their hands. Do you feel that word stirring inside you? It's more than poetry, it's prophecy. Heaven is declaring that joy and peace will now lead your every step. The battle is finished, and now the celebration begins. You have walked through the valley of confusion and climbed the hills of heartbreak. Yet you stand here, breathing proof that grace has carried you. Your scars tell a story of survival, but your peace will tell a story of victory. The noise of warfare is fading, replaced by divine music, the song of completion. God is not calling you to strive harder. He's calling you to breathe deeper. You've spent too long in battle mode, trying to fix, to prove, to win. But you cannot earn what grace already gave you. The blood of Christ sealed your outcome long before the enemy even planned your downfall. You are not fighting for victory anymore. You are walking from it. Look around. The silence that feels strange right now, it's not emptiness, it's evidence. It's what happens after heaven wins. The battlefield of your heart has gone quiet because the commander of heaven's armies has declared, "Peace, be still." This is your divine invitation to rest. Not rest because you're tired, but rest because the mission is accomplished. Rest because you trust the author of your story to finish what he started. Every delay had purpose. Every tear watered your next harvest. Every door that shut redirected you to one that could never close again. And now, the season of constant fighting ends. You are entering a realm called rest, not as escape, but as empowerment. In this rest, you will still move, but your movement will be led by peace, not pressure. You will still act, but from clarity, not chaos. You will still speak, but with authority, not anxiety. The enemy thrives on exhaustion, but peace disarms him. When you rest in divine confidence, hell grows nervous, because your stillness speaks louder than your shouting. You don't have to fight to prove victory. The cross already did that. All you have to do is receive. So today, let peace wash over you like oil. Let grace soak into every place fear once lived. Let the Spirit whisper to your weary heart, "It's finished." You have nothing left to earn. You have everything to inherit. Breathe in the truth. The season of warfare has shifted into the season of worship. The battle scars will become testimonies. The sleepless nights will become songs. The weight you carried will turn into wings. Chosen one. This is not the end. It's the resting place before your new beginning. Heaven is aligning miracles on your behalf. And as you surrender your striving, you'll see that doors open easier, prayers flow freer, and peace lingers longer. If this word resonates in your spirit, don't scroll away. Let heaven see your agreement. Like this message. Share it with another warrior who needs to know that the war has ended. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. Stay connected to this stream of divine reminders. Then, take one prophetic step of faith. Comment your prophetic number below. Let it be your declaration that you receive the peace, the joy, and the victory already written for you. This is not just a message. This is a divine decree. Your victory is sealed. Now rest and receive. Comment your prophetic number below as your act of faith. The battlefield grows quiet now. Chosen one. The air is still, as though heaven itself has commanded even the wind to rest. You stand in the aftermath of what once felt like endless war. The noise that filled your nights, the anxious thoughts, the inner battles, the unanswered questions has faded into a sacred silence. Do not mistake it for emptiness. This silence is holy ground. You have been so used to fighting that peace feels unfamiliar. When everything around you slows down, your flesh wonders if something is wrong, but your spirit knows something is right. For the first time in a long time, there is no chaos demanding your attention. That stillness you feel, it's not the calm before another storm, it's the evidence that heaven has already moved. Sometimes God proves his victory not through thunder, but through silence. When he finishes his work, he doesn't shout, he rests. The same God who spoke the universe into existence in 6 days sat in stillness on the 7th, not because he was tired, but because he was satisfied. That is the silence you stand in now, the silence of satisfaction. Heaven has already completed what you prayed for. The war you thought was still raging ended when you chose to trust instead of panic. The silence that surrounds you is heaven's way of saying, "It is done." And the voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Those words echo through eternity. Chosen one. They are not a whisper of suggestion, they are a command of victory. The Lord himself is saying, step back, breathe, and let me show you what I can do without your striving. You have fought long enough trying to fix things with your own hands. You've tried to hold it all together. But now, your hands must release so his hands can rebuild. The silence is not abandonment, it's occupation. Heaven is working in the unseen, rearranging, restoring, realigning what you thought was lost. This is the moment when faith matures. Immature faith demands constant signs. Mature faith can rest in silence and still believe. When heaven grows quiet, it is never because God is absent. It is because he is near enough that words are no longer required. Do not panic in this quietness. The enemy wants you to believe that stillness is stagnation. But it's the opposite. Stillness is sacred movement. You are moving from panic to peace, from doubt to trust, from reaction to revelation. There is a hidden strength developing in your silence. Every moment you choose not to worry, heaven builds your confidence. Every second you refuse to fear, angels draw nearer. Every breath you release in peace sends tremors into the camp of darkness. Because peace, chosen one, is power. Think about how Jesus responded in the storm. While his disciples were shouting in fear, he was sleeping. Not because he didn't care, but because he knew. He understood authority. He knew the storm couldn't swallow what heaven had sent. And you, too, carry that same assurance now. The storm that tried to drown you has no authority anymore. The silence you hear is the sound of defeated darkness. The absence of noise means the enemy has retreated. The battlefield is now an altar. What once smelled of fear now carries the fragrance of peace. You are walking through the aftermath of victory. In this silence, new instructions will come, but not as commands shouted from heaven. They will come as whispers, gentle impressions, divine nudges. You will notice that God no longer speaks to you in panic, but in peace. You will sense him not as an external force, but as an internal certainty. Don't rush to fill the quiet with noise again. Don't run back to old battles just because you don't know how to rest. This silence is your classroom. God is teaching you to discern his peace, to walk in it, to live from it. Soon, you'll realize this stillness was never about inactivity, it was about intimacy. You'll see that heaven had to quiet the chaos around you so you could hear the heartbeat of God within you. Every warrior must learn this. The greatest victories are not won with swords, but with surrender. The greatest conquests are not marked by sound, but by silence. It is in the quiet that kings are crowned, that wounds are healed, and that faith becomes unshakable. So let the silence do its work. Don't rush the moment. Don't fear the pause. Heaven is nearer than it has ever been. What feels like nothing happening is actually everything aligning. Chosen one. You are not being forgotten, you are being finished. The process is complete. The war is done. The quiet is confirmation. Breathe in this holy stillness and know, the same God who fought for you will now fight through you. You are being equipped with peace so unshakable that no future storm will unsettle you again. The scars still speak, don't they? Chosen one. The memories of every betrayal, every rejection, every moment you were misunderstood, they linger like fingerprints on your soul. But listen closely. Heaven is not ashamed of your scars. In fact, heaven calls them proof. Every mark is evidence that you endured what was meant to destroy you. You are still standing, and that makes you dangerous to the darkness. You have walked through fire and did not burn. You have fallen. Yes, but you did not stay down. What others called failure, heaven calls formation. What they called weakness, heaven calls witness. Every wound that once bled with pain now glows with purpose. You are not broken, you are battle-tested. You are the scarred but standing one. The Apostle Paul once wrote to a people who suffered, reminding them that pain has purpose, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. From the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." This is not a verse for comfort, only it's a declaration of identity. It means that every attack that tried to stop you has been repurposed by heaven to strengthen you. Notice something powerful. The scripture doesn't say the weapon won't form, it says it won't prosper. That means some things were allowed to appear so you could witness their defeat. You've seen people rise against you. You've watched dreams crumble. You've been struck by words sharp enough to wound the soul, but look at you. Still breathing, still believing, still becoming. The enemy's greatest mistake was letting you live long enough to see your restoration. The world looked at your scars and thought they were signs of defeat. But heaven looks and sees strategy, because the scar is not the mark of pain, it's the mark of healing. It's where heaven closed what hell tried to keep open. You carry a holy history. Chosen one. Every disappointment has become oil for your anointing. Every rejection has refined your discernment. You now know who is with you and who cannot walk the next stretch of your journey. You've learned that solitude is not punishment, it's protection. Some of the people who walked away were never meant to handle the weight of your calling. They were necessary for your breaking, not for your becoming. It hurt when they left, but their departure cleared space for destiny to unfold. Heaven had to subtract before it could multiply. And now, you stand here scarred. Yes, but more radiant than ever. There's a strange authority that rests on those who have survived storms. You carry a quiet confidence that doesn't need to prove itself. You know now that power isn't in shouting, it's in standing. You've become a living testimony. The pain didn't end you, it introduced you to your purpose. You don't just tell people God heals, you are the proof that He does. You don't just preach perseverance, you embody it. Every scar is a sermon. Every healed wound whispers, God did it again. No. So now, lift your head. The ashes on your hands have turned to gold dust. The same ground where you once wept will become the stage of your worship. What was meant to destroy you will soon testify for you. And hear this truth: scars attract glory. When Thomas doubted the resurrection, Jesus didn't hide His wounds, He revealed them. He said, touch my hands, touch my side. Why? Because glory doesn't erase the scars, it redeems them. Heaven isn't asking you to hide what you've been through. Heaven is asking you to own it and let it shine. Your healing is holy. Your story is sacred. You are not behind schedule. You are right on divine time. Everything that was stripped from you will return, multiplied. The joy that was buried beneath grief will resurrect stronger than ever. The time has come to stop apologizing for surviving. Stop minimizing your resilience. You did not make it this far just to blend back in. You were chosen to be a walking contradiction, a vessel of peace carrying the marks of war. You are no longer a victim of your past. You are the vessel through which heaven redeems it. Every scar carries a name. Every name carries a testimony. And every testimony carries light. Take this moment. Breathe. And recognize how far you've come. You are not who you were when the battle began. You are wiser, softer, but stronger, humble, but fierce. You are heaven's evidence that endurance pays off. Now, chosen one, let the heavens hear your agreement. Type these 4 words below. I am still standing. Do it not as routine, but as declaration. Every time you type those words, you're stamping a seal in the spirit realm that says, I survived what was meant to destroy me, and I will thrive where I was once broken. Let the darkness see that you're no longer the same. Let your fingers become a weapon of worship. The revelation begins to unfold. Chosen one. You start to understand that what you are stepping into now is not a new battle, but a finished victory. The war was settled long before you ever swung your sword. You simply walked into the manifestation of a victory that was already written in heaven. There is something sacred about the phrase, "It is finished." Those were not merely the final words of a dying man on a cross. They were the sound of eternity sealing its promise. In that single breath, time was rewritten. The curse was reversed. The distance between you and divine favor collapsed. What was impossible became possible. You see, when Jesus spoke those words, he didn't mean that his suffering ended. He meant that your striving could. Every spiritual chain, every debt of sin, every curse of failure was broken in that divine declaration. Nothing else needed to be added. Nothing else could be improved. The price was not only paid, it was overpaid. That is why you can now stand without fear. You don't fight for grace, you flow from it. You don't perform for love, you rest in it. You don't chase approval, you carry it. Heaven's receipt has been issued, and across it is written, paid in full. Then, as Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 19, verse 30, it is finished. Those three words still echo through creation. They shake the foundations of every dark power that tries to convince you otherwise. When guilt whispers that you are not enough, those words rise up like thunder and say, it is finished. When fear tells you that the story isn't over, heaven replies, it is. This is the mystery of grace. Victory does not begin when you fight harder. It begins when you finally believe what has already been done. The cross was never a halfway point. It was the end of everything that kept you bound. Think about that. Chosen one. Every voice that accused you lost its authority at the foot of the cross. Every shame that haunted your mind was nailed there too. Every regret, every failure, every hidden wound that you still try to hide, none of it survived that moment. You are not fighting to become free. You already are. The enemy's only weapon now is deception, trying to convince you that unfinished business remains. But the truth stands. Nothing is missing. Nothing is unpaid. Nothing is undone. You can live free. You can rest without apology. You can trust that your salvation, your calling, and your destiny are secure, not because of your perfection, but because of his completion. The weight that used to crush you can no longer hold you. The past that used to define you now testifies for you. You are the living evidence that grace works. You walk not as one trying to earn righteousness, but as one covered in it. The more you meditate on those words, it is finished, the more you begin to understand that striving is no longer holy. The most powerful thing you can do sometimes is to stop trying to fix yourself and allow the finished work to transform you from within. Even your weaknesses have been woven into God's design. Every flaw you thought disqualified you has become a canvas for his mercy. The victory was never about your strength. It was always about his sacrifice. When you stumble, remember, the cross already accounted for that. When you fall short, grace has already filled the gap. You do not need to earn what has already been freely given. You need only to walk in it, to receive, to rest, and to release gratitude. Your tears no longer fall on the soil of defeat. They water the seeds of fulfillment. Heaven has already seen the end from the beginning, and the end is good. The one who began a good work in you did not stop at almost. He finished it. And you, chosen one, are now awakening to that reality. This is the rest of victory. You are standing on a battlefield where the war has ended. Yet your heart still trembles from the echoes of old battles. But let that trembling fade. The banner over you is not fear anymore. It is triumph. The anthem over your life is not struggle. It is completion. Heaven is not watching to see if you can make it. Heaven is rejoicing because you already have. You are walking through the proof of divine fulfillment. Every promise is yes and amen. Every word spoken over you still stands. So breathe deeply. Let peace anchor you. Let gratitude replace striving. The pressure to prove yourself is gone. The victory is no longer pending, it's permanent. And from this revelation, everything changes. You no longer worship from desperation, but from realization. You no longer beg heaven to move, you thank heaven because it already has. Chosen one. The cross was the exclamation mark on your destiny. Nothing can erase it. Nothing can rewrite it. It is done. The seal of heaven has been placed upon your life. Chosen one. You can almost feel it, the invisible mark of completion pressed deep into your spirit. It is the divine receipt. The evidence that everything you once owed, every debt of failure, every regret, every tear has been paid in full. You no longer carry the weight of unfinished battles. You carry the fragrance of victory. Imagine a courtroom in heaven. The judge, wrapped in light, lifts his gavel not to condemn, but to confirm. Paid in full. He declares, and every chain of guilt falls from your hands. Angels record the decree. The enemy is silenced. And you, trembling but radiant, realize that you are free, not just forgiven, but finished. Heaven speaks clearly through the letter to the Colossians. Chapter 2, verse 14. Having cancelled the charge of our legal indebtedness, which stood against us and condemned us, he has taken it away, nailing it to the cross. When you grasp this truth, something in you relaxes. The fear of not being enough fades. The need to earn love dissolves. You stop trying to impress God and start walking with Him instead. You, chosen one, are like a freed prisoner stepping out into sunlight after years of shadows. The warmth of forgiveness wraps around you, and you begin to breathe again, not with anxiety, but with gratitude. You begin to understand that grace is not a theory, it's the air you breathe now. Think of a bird that's been kept in a cage for too long. When the door finally opens, it hesitates. It doesn't know how to trust the sky. That's how many of God's chosen ones live redeemed, yet still afraid to fly. But heaven whispers to you today, the door is open, the sky is yours. The cage is gone. Let that image rest in your heart. You don't have to keep revisiting the pain of yesterday to prove you've learned your lesson. You don't need to keep rebuilding what grace has already replaced. The cross was not a down payment, it was total payment. And now, heaven gently reminds you, this message, this flow of truth, exists because someone, somewhere, chose to keep the oil burning, like a lamp that never runs dry. This voice continues because hearts like yours listen, engage, and pour back. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe. It isn't just about numbers, it's about keeping the light alive so another weary soul can find their way home. Think of it like passing a torch in a dark tunnel. Each click, each share, each small act of generosity becomes another spark, another flame carried forward. You're not supporting a channel, you're fueling a movement, a sanctuary where lost hearts hear heaven again. And if ever your spirit feels stirred to do more to sow into this stream of grace, consider it not as donation. But, participation. Every seed you plant becomes another message reaching someone crying in silence. Someone who almost gave up before light found them. The kingdom grows through hearts that give freely, through listeners who say, I receive. and I will help others receive. That's the rhythm of heaven, what you receive in peace. You release in purpose. So, let gratitude lead you. Like this message, if it found your heart, share it, so another warrior finds rest. Subscribe to stay connected, not for the sake of followers, but for the sake of flow, the continual stream of divine reminder that you are chosen, redeemed, and covered. You are part of something far larger than yourself, a constellation of believers carrying light into the shadows. When you support this mission, you're not just helping words reach screens, you're helping hope reach hearts. Look at the cross again in your mind's eye. Picture the ink of mercy still wet on your heavenly record, paid in full. That is not just theology, it's truth. Every good thing that follows peace, provision, purpose flows from that sealed document. You can rest, knowing nothing was left unpaid. The divine receipt is your inheritance, your freedom certificate, your proof that the price was enough. And now you are free to live, not as one who owes, but as one who owns the victory. You are not a debtor of grace, you are its carrier. You are not a beggar at heaven's door, you are a guest at the royal table. You are not trying to earn what's already yours, you are learning to rest in the finished work. So, breathe deep. Let your heart whisper, thanks. You have been redeemed completely, irrevocably, eternally. And as you receive that truth, let it overflow through every act of kindness, every share, every seed of generosity, because grace, when received deeply, always gives freely. You have been a fighter for so long, chosen one. You've spent years swinging your sword, praying through exhaustion, trying to hold the world together with trembling hands. But heaven is calling you now, not to another battle, but to a surrender. It's time to cease fighting and start receiving. The strength that once helped you survive must now give way to a softer, sacred power, trust. You see, there is a difference between striving and surrender. Striving says, I must make it happen. Surrender says, God has already made it happen. Striving drains your soul, surrender restores it. For too long, you've believed that working harder was holy. But heaven whispers otherwise. True holiness is not in exhaustion, it's in rest that flows from obedience. You've prayed, fasted, pushed, and pressed. Yet now, heaven speaks gently. Put down your sword. The battle is mine. You cannot receive if your hands are always clenched around control. It was revealed in the Apostles' letter to the Corinthians, the second book, chapter 12, verse 9. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Oh, think of the ocean. The waves never strive to reach the shore, they are drawn there by the rhythm of the tide. You, too, are being drawn into rest by the rhythm of heaven. It is not laziness, it is alignment. To rest in His grace is to move in divine harmony. The world glorifies hustle, but heaven celebrates stillness. The world tells you to prove yourself, but God reminds you that you're already approved. You are not in a race against time. You are walking with the one who holds time in His hands. When you truly cease striving, your perspective changes. You stop begging for doors to open and start realizing the right ones were never locked. You stop fearing delay and start trusting divine timing. You stop asking, when, and start saying, whenever you will. Lord. And there is peace in that posture. It's the peace that terrifies darkness because it cannot be manipulated. When you rest in divine confidence, no threat, no timeline, no circumstance can steal your calm. That's when you become untouchable. Not because nothing comes against you, but because nothing shakes you anymore. The battle may have left scars, yes, but now it's time for stillness to do what striving never could. In stillness, wounds close. In stillness, direction becomes clear. In stillness, strength is renewed. You've spent so long trying to earn what has already been given. God is not asking for perfection. He's asking for permission to let him do what only he can do. There's a holy exchange happening right now in your spirit. Every heavy burden is trading places with peace. Every anxious thought is bowing before trust. You can almost feel the tension loosening as grace begins to move freely through the places you once guarded. Imagine this moment as a divine hand extended toward you. Heaven isn't demanding your effort, it's offering you inheritance. The greatest act of faith you can do now is simply to open your hands and receive. You are learning that rest is not quitting, it's trusting. It's choosing to believe that what God promised will find you, even if you stop chasing. You are being rewired for peace. Let these words settle deep. God doesn't need your performance to bless you. He needs your permission to carry you. This is why miracles happen in rest. Because when your hands release control, heaven's hands begin to move. When you cease fighting, divine order flows. When you receive grace, you become a vessel for it. Chosen one. There's a reason this message reached you today. Heaven knew you were tired of trying to fix what only God can finish. Heaven knew your heart was weary of pretending to be strong when you're allowed to rest. So, take this moment. Close your eyes. Whisper from your spirit, I receive. That's all it takes. And as a prophetic act, a small physical sign that mirrors the surrender of your soul, comment the number 444 below. Why 444? Because it represents divine completion, the alignment of heaven and earth, the signature of stability after storms. It is heaven's whisper saying, you are safe now. You are seen. You are settled. Write it as your declaration that you're stepping out of striving and into stillness. When you type it, you're not just entering numbers, you're signing heaven's agreement over your life. Grace is enough. This isn't coincidence. And it's not routine. This is a divine moment, orchestrated for your release. You don't have to fight anymore. You don't have to force it. The victory is already sealed. Now rest, receive, and let grace carry what your hands can no longer hold. Comment 444 below as your act of surrender and faith. The rhythm of heaven is different from the rhythm of the world. Chosen one. The world demands motion constant, frantic, unrelenting motion. But heaven commands rest, not as an option, not as a luxury, but as obedience. You may think of rest as doing nothing, but in the eyes of God, rest is an act of faith. It's the declaration that says, I trust you enough to stop trying to control everything. When you rest, you're telling heaven, I believe you're working even when I am not. Heaven has always established rest as a law of life. Even creation itself followed this divine pattern. After 6 days of forming galaxies, sculpting oceans, and breathing life into dust, the Almighty paused. He didn't stop because he was weary, he stopped because he was finished. He rested not from fatigue, but from fulfillment. As Jesus himself spoke in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." There it is, the invitation that never expires. It's not, "Come to me when you have it all figured out," or "Come to me when you've earned it." It's simply, "Come, the broken, the weary, the uncertain, all are welcome." The kind of rest he gives is not the sleep of exhaustion, it's the peace of assurance. It's the stillness that settles deep in your bones and says, "God's got it. You may still have responsibilities, bills, tasks, and trials, but inside, you're calm. That calm is your crown. It's the proof that heaven dwells in you. You've been trained to equate movement with progress, but heaven measures progress by peace. You can be running hard in circles and still be standing still in spirit. Or you can be seated in stillness, yet moving mountains in prayer. That's why this command to rest is not laziness, it's warfare. The enemy trembles when you rest, because rest proves that his intimidation failed. It's the declaration that no matter what comes against you, you will not be shaken from your position of peace. The devil thrives on distraction. He wants your soul to stay busy, because a restless heart cannot hear heaven clearly. But when you slow down, when you pause and breathe, the noise of the world fades, and the voice of God grows louder. In rest, you begin to hear again. You hear the quiet instructions, the divine whispers that get drowned out by chaos. You realize that clarity is not found in commotion, but in communion. You may ask, "But how do I rest when everything around me is unstable?" The answer, you rest in God, not in circumstances. Circumstances fluctuate, God remains. His faithfulness is not seasonal. His peace does not depend on conditions. When he says, "I will give you rest," he means rest that exists even in the storm. Consider the disciples on the boat. The waves were violent, the wind was fierce, and yet the Son of God slept. He rested in what terrified others. Why? Because his peace was not anchored in the sea, it was anchored in his Father. You, too, can reach that level of rest. The place where even when storms rise, your heart stays steady, not because the storm is small, but because your God is greater. This is the kind of rest heaven is inviting you into. The rest that produces revelation, the rest that renews your strength, the rest that becomes your secret weapon against fear. When you walk in divine rest, your presence changes atmospheres. People around you sense peace and don't know why. Rooms that were tense begin to feel lighter. Conversations that once stirred anxiety now unfold with grace. That is the anointing of rest. It radiates through you. You become a walking sanctuary. Your calm becomes contagious, and even your silence carries authority. Because when you've learned to rest in God, you no longer need to prove anything. Chosen one, you are learning to live like heaven lives, in rhythm with divine peace. You are discovering that rest is not the absence of responsibility, but the presence of trust. The more you rest in God, the more He releases through you. So, if your mind still tries to run, let this truth anchor you. The greatest display of faith is not when you shout prayers in desperation, it's when you sit in peace, knowing they're already answered. The command of heaven still stands. Rest is your inheritance. Trust is your power. And the one who obeys the call to rest becomes untouchable, because nothing can disturb a heart anchored in divine peace. Be still. Chosen one, rest not because you're done fighting, but because heaven already won. There was a time when the wilderness felt like punishment. Chosen one, every delay, every unanswered prayer, every silent night felt like evidence that heaven had turned away. You looked at barren days and wondered if you had somehow fallen out of favor. But now, as you stand at the threshold of revelation, you begin to understand the wilderness was never abandonment, it was alignment. The desert is not where God forgets you, it is where He forms you. It's where noise dies so your ears can finally hear His whisper. It's where false identities are stripped away so your true calling can be revealed. The Israelites wandered for 40 years, not because God was cruel, but because He was crafting a people capable of carrying promise. The same is true for you. The wilderness was the workshop of your becoming. You see, the promise cannot exist without preparation. To inherit something eternal, you must first let go of everything temporary. And so, God allowed the wilderness not to break you, but to build you. Every tear, every test, every lonely road, it was chiseling away what could not enter the promise with you. Heaven reminds you through the writings of Isaiah, chapter 51, verse 3. The Lord will surely comfort Zion and will look with compassion on all her ruins. He will make her deserts like Eden, her wastelands like the garden of the Lord. And this is the divine paradox. God hides His greatest treasures in the wilderness, because in that stillness, when you have nothing left to depend on, you finally discover that He is enough. You stop chasing what is fleeting and start trusting what is eternal. The wilderness teaches you dependence. It trains your spirit to hear direction without confirmation, to walk by faith when sight fails. You learn to pray, not because you want blessings, but because you crave presence. You stop asking for escape and start asking for endurance. Many people see the wilderness as delay, but in heaven's design, it's acceleration. God slows your outer world so He can speed up your inner transformation. The slower the progress looked, the deeper the roots grew, and one day, without warning, the wilderness will shift. What was once empty will echo with promise. What was once silent will sing again. You will look around and realize nothing was wasted. Every lonely night, every unanswered cry, every moment you felt unseen, it all served a purpose. The wilderness trained your faith to no longer depend on feelings. It made your obedience purer, your worship deeper, your vision clearer. It purified your motives and strengthened your resolve. You came out of that season not just with hope, but with holy authority. You are no longer easily shaken, because you've already survived silence. You no longer doubt God's goodness, because you've seen His faithfulness in scarcity. You are no longer desperate for validation, because you know who you are, even when no one is watching. The wilderness broke your pride, but built your peace. It stripped your plans, but revealed your purpose. You learned that the loss of comfort was not the loss of calling, it was preparation for greater capacity. When you stand in promise, you'll realize that the wilderness taught you how to carry abundance without arrogance. It taught you to hold blessings with humility. You won't worship what you receive, you'll worship the one who sustained you when you had nothing. And perhaps the greatest revelation of all, You'll find gratitude for the very seasons you once cursed. You'll thank God for the isolation that made you listen, for the delays that developed discipline, for the detours that led to destiny. Because now, the wilderness is over. The landscape is changing. What once was dry begins to shimmer with life. Your feet, once weary from wandering, now step on ground that promises growth. The same desert that humbled you will bloom beneath your feet. The fragrance of Eden rises again. Rivers are flowing where dust once ruled. Songs are forming where silence once lingered. You have not been forgotten, you've been prepared. And soon, you will walk into rooms your wilderness shaped you for. You'll carry peace where others carry panic. You'll bring clarity where others bring noise. You'll recognize the presence of God not only in blessings, but in the very breath you breathe. So, do not despise where you have been. The wilderness was not wasted. The desert was not death. It was the seedbed of destiny. And now, as heaven turns the page, your promise begins to unfold like a sunrise after endless night. Chosen one. This is the beauty of divine order. Where you once saw loss, God was writing legacy. Where you once saw emptiness, He was planting eternity. Your wilderness has ended. Your promise has begun. There is a holy calm resting over you now. Chosen one. It is the kind of peace that comes after years of storms. The stillness that can only be found on the other side of surrender. You no longer tremble when the wind rises, because you have learned that the one who commands the storm also commands your steps. This is what heaven calls the mantle of stillness, a divine covering placed upon those who have traded panic for presence. Stillness is not something you stumble into. It is something heaven teaches you. Slowly, painfully, beautifully. It is learned through nights of uncertainty, through prayers that seemed unanswered, through moments when all you could do was breathe and whisper, "I trust you," and that whisper, chosen one, was worship. You have reached a depth in your faith that no longer depends on external proof. You don't need the sky to split open to know heaven is near. You feel Him in the quiet, in the space between thoughts, in the peace that refuses to leave, no matter how loud the world gets. Stillness has become your strength. It is the invisible shield that guards you from the chaos, trying to pull you back into fear. You no longer fight as before, you simply stand. And when you stand, heaven moves. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Zechariah, chapter 4, verse 6. Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord Almighty. Those words are more than ancient history. They are a key for your current moment. You don't win by force. You win by flow. You don't conquer through noise. You conquer through knowing. The Spirit of God is your strategy now. Think of the ocean at sunrise, calm, powerful, unstoppable. That is the image of divine stillness. Beneath that surface, unseen currents move entire tides. So it is with your life. You may appear still to the world, but heaven knows what currents are moving within you. God is guiding the unseen parts of your story. In this season, your strength will not come from effort, but from ease that flows from trust. You don't have to strive to make things happen anymore. You don't have to manipulate outcomes or force timing. Heaven's rhythm is slower, but it never fails. Stillness is not inaction, it's inspired, waiting. It's the discipline of listening before leaping, of breathing before building. It's the sacred art of letting God be God. When you stop rushing, your ears open. You begin to hear instructions you once missed in the noise. You sense the gentle nudges of the Spirit that say, "Wait a little longer here. Move quietly there. Speak now. Stay silent now." This is divine navigation, and it only comes to those who have learned to be still. You are one of them now. The mantle of stillness has fallen on your shoulders like a garment of light. You carry peace into every space you enter. People may not understand it, but they'll feel it. They'll sense something about you that isn't easily shaken. That's what happens when heaven rests on a human spirit. The world will call it composure, but heaven calls it communion. Your calm is not personality, it's presence. It's the evidence that God has made his home inside you. When others panic, you will pause. When others speak from fear, you will speak from faith. And sometimes, you won't speak at all, because silence, too, is a weapon. Stillness terrifies darkness because it cannot predict it. The enemy knows how to fight noise, but not peace. And you, chosen one, have become the calm that confuses chaos. So, as an act of alignment, a prophetic seal of what is happening within you, type these 3 words below. I choose peace. Not as routine, but as revelation. When you type those words, you're not commenting, you're confessing. You're proclaiming that you will no longer let pressure steal your posture. You're announcing that peace will lead you from this point forward. Every letter you write becomes a declaration in the unseen. I will not be moved by fear. I will not rush out of divine timing. I will not trade stillness for struggle. This is your new identity, anchored. Calm. Steady. You no longer chase answers. You carry them. You no longer beg for peace. You embody it. The storm is still around, but inside you, heaven has already won. Peace is your inheritance. Chosen one. And from this day forward, it will not visit you, will live in it. Comment, I choose peace, below as your prophetic declaration of calm and strength. The winds have shifted. Chosen one. You feel it, the stirring beneath your ribs. The lightness in your steps. It's not imagination, it's elevation. You are no longer crawling through battles, you are soaring above them. What once exhausted you now barely reaches your wings. This is the stage heaven calls the wings of the overcomer. You've been through the cocoon, the hidden, crushing, reshaping place. You know what it's like to be confined, to feel forgotten, to wonder if transformation would ever come. But what you thought was burial was actually metamorphosis. Heaven hid you not to harm you, but to ready you. And now, the seal breaks, the shell cracks. The old you, the weary fighter, the striving believer falls away. From that stillness, wings emerge. Strength you didn't know you had begins to spread wide. It is written in the ancient words of Isaiah, chapter 42, verse 31. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not faint. The eagle does not fight the wind, it rides it. It trusts the unseen air to carry it toward the sun. That is your new posture. You no longer resist the winds of change. You rise on them. Every gust that used to shake your peace now becomes momentum. You have entered a spiritual altitude where ordinary voices can no longer reach you. The gossip that used to sting can't touch you up here. The noise that once distracted you fades into silence below. You have learned that not everything deserves a reaction. From this height, your perspective changes. Problems that once looked like mountains now look like molehills. You see more clearly. You move more gracefully. You no longer flap in panic, you glide in purpose. This is what it means to be an overcomer. To live in such trust that even adversity becomes assistance. To believe so deeply that everything is working for your good, that fear loses its grip. You are flying in a dimension that requires less effort and more faith. And with each breath, heaven whispers, stay above it. Don't descend to argue. Don't lower yourself to prove. Let your altitude speak for itself. As you rise, remember this. Your journey isn't just about you. Every message, every moment of revelation, every word that stirs your heart, someone else needs it too. The same way a lighthouse doesn't shine for itself. This message shines so others may see. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, it's not about supporting a page, it's about extending the light. You're turning one candle into 1,000. You're sending wings to another weary soul who forgot they could fly. And when you choose to donate, no matter how small the seed, you are fueling flight. You're saying, let more hearts hear. Let more lights rise. Let more souls be lifted. Your generosity becomes wind beneath this message, keeping it soaring across continents and screens. Think of a single drop of water falling into a quiet lake. It ripples far beyond where it lands. That's what your act of giving does. It ripples through unseen hearts, through nights of despair, through minds that almost gave up until a message like this found them. You are part of a living current, an invisible network of overcomers, spreading hope through the airwaves. Every click, every seed, every prayer heaven notices. None of it is small. So let gratitude guide your giving. Let love fuel your sharing. When you share, you're saying, I want someone else to remember they can rise again. When you subscribe, you're saying, I want to keep flying in this flow. When you sow, you're saying, let there be light for another. You are not supporting a person, you are sustaining a purpose. You're adding wind to wings that carry grace into broken places. Chosen one. This is how the eagle tribe grows, not through competition, but through compassion. Every act of support keeps the sky open for another soul. So as you listen now, imagine your wings stretching wider. Feel that strength returning, that calm rising, that holy ease filling your bones. The air is thinner up here, but it's purer. The noise is gone, but the peace is loud. You are the overcomer the storm didn't expect to see again. You are proof that those who wait on the Lord never stay grounded forever. Keep soaring, keep shining, keep sharing the wind that lifted you. And as you do, heaven will continue to breathe favor beneath your wings. Hidden things are beginning to emerge. Chosen one, what once seemed buried forever is now breaking through the soil of time. You are entering the season heaven calls the hidden harvest, the quiet unveiling of everything you sowed in faith when no one was watching. For years, you planted seeds with tears. You spoke prayers into dark nights that never seemed to answer. You kept showing up when it didn't make sense. You forgave when your heart still ached, loved when it wasn't returned, and believed even when hope felt like a whisper. Those were seeds, sacred, unseen, yet never forgotten. Heaven never wastes a seed. Even when it falls into the ground of silence, it is not lost, it is being incubated. The soil of obscurity is where the miracles mature. The waiting season wasn't punishment, it was protection. God hid your harvest until it was strong enough to survive the light. You are now beginning to see evidence of what your faith planted long ago. Things are aligning. Doors are opening that no man can shut. What looked like coincidence is actually divine timing, weaving itself perfectly around you. Heaven's calendar is catching up to your prayers. As the Apostle Paul wrote in his letter to the Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart." That verse is not a promise of maybe. It's a guarantee of when. The due season always comes. It may not arrive early, but it never arrives late. And when it comes, it gathers every seed you ever sowed in faith. Nothing is wasted. Think of the farmer. He sows in silence, waters the soil day after day, often seeing no change. Yet beneath the surface, life is forming. The seed breaks apart before it bursts forth. What looks like destruction is actually transformation. That's what happened in your hidden years. The breaking had to come before the blooming. Some of your greatest growth happened underground, where no one clapped for you. The world didn't see your prayers, your perseverance, your quiet obedience, but heaven did. Heaven saw every act of kindness you thought went unnoticed, every sacrifice you made when no one said thank you. Heaven was keeping count. Now, the hidden harvest is coming forth. It won't look like a single blessing, it will look like overflow. The very things that felt delayed are arriving in clusters. Prayers you prayed years apart will bloom together in one divine season. And when it comes, it won't be subtle. It will be the kind of harvest that makes people ask, "How did this happen so suddenly?" But you will know it wasn't sudden. It was sacred timing. Your endurance prepared you to handle what's coming. Had the harvest arrived sooner, it might have crushed you. But now, you are grounded. You've been pruned by patience, strengthened by stillness, refined by waiting. There's something beautiful about people who have waited long. They carry humility that quick success can never teach. They understand that harvest is not luck. It's the product of long obedience. Chosen one. Don't be surprised when blessings start flowing easily. You've already paid the price in the hidden years. What's coming now is recompense, divine repayment for everything that tried to break you. The years that felt stolen will be returned, multiplied. God is not just giving you fruit, He's giving you field. He's not just answering prayers, He's enlarging capacity. Your influence, your peace, your favor, they are stretching beyond what you thought possible, because you remained faithful when it was hardest. Heaven is now entrusting you with more. This harvest won't only bless you, it will bless others through you. People will eat from the fruit of your endurance. They'll find shade under the tree you watered with tears. They'll look at your life and find hope that faith still works. Even the scars you carry will serve as seeds, because testimonies, too, reproduce. Every time you share how God carried you, you plant courage in someone else's soil. And here's the most astonishing truth. The hidden harvest doesn't just appear once, it continues. Because every new act of faith plants again. Every time you trust instead of fear, every time you forgive instead of resent, you're sowing new life. Your entire existence is becoming a garden of grace, and the gardener himself walks among it, delighting in the growth, whispering, "Well done. You didn't give up. You didn't lose heart. Now, look what I've grown through you." So, walk gently in this new season. Look for the sprouts, small answers, quiet confirmations, sudden joy. Each one is heaven saying, "You're reaping now. The waiting is over. The hidden work is revealing its beauty. Your harvest has come, and it was worth every tear that watered it." The air feels different now, doesn't it? Chosen one, there's a vibration in the atmosphere, a sense that something larger than life is unfolding. You've crossed through silence, through surrender, through stillness, and now you're standing at the edge of overflow. This is the part of your journey where heaven no longer drips blessings, it pours them. You're stepping into prophetic overflow, a season where what once came slowly now comes suddenly. And what once required striving now flows with ease. The pressure you endured was not punishment, it was preparation for abundance. Overflow is not just about material gain, it's the expansion of every good thing. Peace that spills over, joy that radiates outward, strength that multiplies. You no longer have to fight for what already belongs to you. You only have to hold out your hands and receive it. You've been faithful with little, and heaven has taken notice. The Father has seen how you kept sowing when nothing seemed to grow, how you kept loving even when you felt empty, how you kept believing even when nothing moved. And now, the sound of running water fills the spirit realm. It is the sound of your overflow beginning. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 23, verse 5, "You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows." That line is not symbolic, it's supernatural. Oil represents anointing, and the cup represents capacity. Heaven is saying, "I'm not just filling you, I'm enlarging you." The overflow is not accidental. It's prophetic proof that your obedience created room for more. Think of a river after heavy rain. The banks can't contain it anymore, so the water spreads, nourishing everything it touches. That's what's happening to you. You've become the river. Everywhere you step, favor will follow. The overflow isn't limited to you. It's meant to bless those connected to you. You've shifted from asking, "When will it happen?" to realizing it's happening now. The things that used to feel delayed are aligning perfectly. The opportunities you thought you missed are returning in better form. The relationships that ended are being replaced by divine connections that fit your destiny. Overflow means increase, but not chaos. Heaven's increase always comes with order. You won't drown in this abundance, you'll dance in it. It will not overwhelm you, it will position you. Because you've been prepared in the wilderness, tested in the waiting, and refined in the resting. The overflow is arriving gently, not as shock, but as confirmation. You'll notice little signs. First, a door opening easily, a word arriving right on time, a provision showing up before you even prayed for it. These are heaven's signatures saying, the flow has begun. 1. You may ask, why now? Because you're finally ready. Overflow doesn't come when you demand it. It comes when you can carry it. It comes when your heart is mature enough to handle abundance without pride. You've been emptied of self, so you could be filled with Spirit. Now, the oil flows. The cup overflows. The blessings you used to chase will start chasing you. The peace you fought to keep will now fight to stay with you. The joy you had to remind yourself to feel will now wake you in the morning. This overflow will not be just for comfort. It will be for calling. God blesses you so you can become a blessing. Your abundance is an assignment. It's meant to flow through you, not stop with you. Every resource, every open door, every ounce of favor, heaven is entrusting it to your stewardship. You'll find yourself giving more, forgiving faster, loving deeper, and shining brighter. That's how you'll know the overflow is real. It changes your posture, not just your position. And, as a prophetic act, a simple sign of faith in what's already unfolding, type the number 888 below. Why 888? Because it represents new beginnings, multiplied. It's the number of resurrection, renewal, and eternal promise. It is heaven's way of saying, the old cycle is closed, and the new one has begun this time, without limitation. Now, when you type it, do it not as superstition, but as seal. You're declaring, I step into overflow. I agree with heaven's abundance. I believe what's coming will exceed what's been lost. Now, let it be your prophetic response, the moment your faith meets divine flow. Every digit is a declaration that you have entered a season where you no longer measure supply. Because heaven has removed the limits, the river has begun to rise. Chosen one, step into it. Let the current of grace carry you where effort never could. The overflow is not coming, it's already here. Comment 888 below as your act of faith in prophetic overflow. Something sacred is happening in the Spirit. Chosen one. It's not loud or dramatic, it's quiet, deliberate, divine. You can almost feel it in the air around you. Like the moment before dawn, when everything holds its breath, heaven is placing something back upon your head. Something you lost in battle, but never lost in destiny. Your crown, the crown of restored glory, is not made of gold and jewels. It's made of redemption and resilience. It's crafted from every tear you cried. Every night you refused to give up. Every wound you turned into worship. This crown does not sparkle for attention. It radiates authority. You didn't earn it through perfection. You received it through perseverance. When others bowed to fear, you kept standing. When others quit under pressure, you stayed the course. When your faith cracked, you held on to fragments, and heaven called that enough. Now the hand of God, gentle yet mighty, reaches toward you. He doesn't place the crown on you quickly, he does it slowly, purposefully, as though to remind you of what it cost. You can feel the weight of it, not as burden, but as balance. It settles upon your head like peace settling over a storm. The writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 103, verse 4, declare, He crowns you with love and compassion. Olives, the crown of restored glory, doesn't erase your scars, it honors them. Every mark on your soul is a jewel in that crown. The pain that once made you question your worth now proves it. You carry heaven's beauty, mark the evidence that grace won. This restoration isn't about getting back what you lost. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be. You are not returning to your old self. You're stepping into your true self. The one that existed before betrayal, before heartbreak, before fear, the one heaven always saw, even when you couldn't, and because of that, your crown shines with a unique light, redemption's light. It's the glow that cannot be fabricated, the peace that cannot be imitated. It's the quiet glory that makes others sense something holy about you, even if they can't explain it. You have changed, and heaven celebrates that change. The fire didn't destroy you, it refined you. You no longer need validation to feel valuable. You no longer chase crowns made of applause, because you now wear one made of anointing. The world crowns success, heaven crowns surrender. The world rewards perfection, heaven rewards persistence. You are crowned, not because you never failed, but because you never stayed down. And when this crown rests upon you, something else happens. You begin to see others differently. The same mercy that lifted you now flows through you. You no longer judge the wounded, you recognize them. You no longer compete, you cover. You no longer envy, you empower. Because kings and queens of heaven don't hoard, they heal. This restoration is not a private event, it's a divine coronation. The heavens rejoice, angels witness, and your spirit remembers what it always knew. You were never defeated, only delayed. Feel this truth deep within. You are not emerging from a season of loss. You are arising from the ashes with greater glory. The crown is proof that the story did not end in shame, but in grace. And the beauty of this crown is that it doesn't weigh you down. It lifts you up. It straightens your posture. It reminds you to walk with dignity again, to speak with confidence, to dream without fear, to worship without worry. You are royalty, not in name only, but in nature. The King of Kings has restored your identity, reaffirmed your authority, and reignited your destiny. This is your reintroduction to the world, not as the broken version of who you were, but as the resurrected version of who you've become. When people see you now, they will sense that something has shifted. They'll notice peace where there used to be pain, strength where there used to be struggle, clarity where there used to be confusion. They'll see the crown before they even see your face. And you will not boast about it. You will quietly thank God for it, because you know what it took to carry it. So stand tall. Chosen one, the days of walking with your head bowed are over. Lift your gaze. The light you carry is no longer dimmed by defeat. The glory resting upon you is real, radiant, and ready to lead others home. This is your coronation day in the Spirit. Heaven has crowned you with love, compassion, and purpose. Walk in it, shine in it, reign in it. Your story has come full circle, and the crown fits perfectly. Peace has taken its rightful throne within you. Chosen one, it no longer visits, it resides. What was once fleeting is now firm. You've discovered something most people spend a lifetime chasing: the understanding that peace itself is a weapon. The enemy never feared your noise, he feared your calm. Because your peace proves that his power has been broken. Every time you choose rest instead of rage, worship instead of worry, trust instead of trembling, you disarm darkness. You fight differently now. You've learned that shouting doesn't move mountains, but stillness does. Peace is not passive, it is potent. It's not weakness, it's warfare in its purest form. Peace carries an authority that chaos can't imitate. When you walk into a storm with peace in your heart, the atmosphere bends to your presence. That's because you carry the signature of heaven order in the midst of disorder. The ancient words recorded in the letter to the Romans, chapter 16, verse 20, proclaim, "The God of peace will soon crush Satan under your feet." Oh, you now understand why the battle for your peace was always so fierce. The enemy didn't want your money, your time, or your relationships. He wanted your peace. Because once you lose peace, you lose perspective. And when perspective blurs, faith wavers. That's why peace is not just a comfort, it's protection. Every moment you choose to keep peace, you are declaring war on fear. Peace is your declaration that you believe God's plan is still intact, even when the evidence says otherwise. Look back for a moment. How many times did you almost give in to panic? How many nights did anxiety whisper that everything was falling apart? Yet each time, something within you refused to surrender. That something was the Spirit anchoring you, guarding you, reminding you that peace is not the absence of problems, it's the presence of promise. You've learned that real peace isn't found when everything goes right. It's found when you can remain right even when everything goes wrong. It's what allows you to smile when circumstances don't make sense, to forgive when it's easier to stay bitter, to wait when it would feel safer to run. Peace is the river running beneath the noise of life. It doesn't argue with the rocks in its path, it flows around them. It doesn't stop because the terrain changes. It adapts and keeps moving. That is you now, flowing in grace, unbothered by resistance, unstoppable in serenity. The world tries to define peace as escape vacations, silence, or distance. But heaven defines peace as stability. Peace is not found in the absence of sound, but in the presence of surrender. It's knowing that wherever you are, God is there too. You have become a living sanctuary. Chaos may knock, but it cannot enter. Fear may whisper, but it finds no echo. Your spirit has become guarded by divine calm, protected by trust that refuses to collapse. People will notice it. They'll see it in your eyes, hear it in your tone, feel it in your presence. They won't understand how you can stay so steady, how you can keep loving, how you can keep forgiving. But you will know it's not you anymore. It's the peace of God reigning inside you. This peace does not retreat, it advances. It turns confrontation into conversation, fear into faith, despair into discernment. It allows you to walk through fire without panic, because you know the flames cannot consume what heaven has refined. Peace gives you authority in places noise never could. It makes your words weightier, your prayers sharper, your decision clearer. It's the fragrance of heaven, carried by those who have learned to rest, even while surrounded by war. And the deeper truth, your peace blesses others. It's contagious. It spreads quietly, invisibly, like the scent of rain on dry ground. People come near you and find their storms calming, their thoughts slowing, their hearts softening. That's what happens when a person walks with God. His peace radiates through them. You are that person now. You've become the embodiment of the Scripture, the God of peace living in you, working through you, moving for you. You don't chase calm, you are calm. You don't pray for peace, you carry it. Let this truth echo in your soul. Your peace is proof of your power. You are no longer the restless one, but the resting one. You are no longer the shaken, but the steadfast. You are no longer the seeker, you are the vessel, chosen one. Keep walking in that rhythm. Guard it as treasure. Protect it as purpose. Because, as long as peace rules within you, victory will always follow behind you. Listen closely now. Chosen one. For the heavens are roaring with joy. You've come through wilderness and warfare, through silence and surrender, and you have not only survived, you have transformed. The light around you is changing, but so is the sound. What once was the cry of endurance has become the roar of triumph. This roar isn't made of volume, it's made of victory. It's the sound of peace standing tall, of joy refusing to be silenced, of destiny waking from slumber. The universe responds to it because it's not just human sound, it's heaven echoing through you. When lions roar, they don't roar to announce hunger, they roar to declare territory. That's what your spirit is doing now. Every time you speak truth, every time you choose forgiveness, every time you love without reason, you are roaring. You're declaring that this ground belongs to God. The Apostle Paul once wrote words that seem tailor-made for this moment. We find in the letter to the Philippians, chapter 4, verse 4, "Rejoice in the Lord, always. Again I say, rejoice." This is not a suggestion, it's a strategy. Rejoicing is how heaven wars. Joy is how the kingdom wins. Your laughter is not weakness, it's warfare. Every smile after sorrow sends ripples through the spirit realm. Every time you rejoice, you proclaim that darkness failed. But hear this carefully, the roar of triumph doesn't come from arrogance, it comes from gratitude. Gratitude turns pain into praise, turns history into harvest. You roar not because you are great, but because He is. And now, chosen one, your roar must be heard beyond your own walls. When you share your light, you extend heaven's reach. Every like, every share, every subscription, it's more than digital movement. It's ministry. It's a ripple of faith moving through the unseen, reaching hearts you may never meet. Think of it this way. You are a torchbearer walking through a vast valley. Each time you lift your flame, another torch ignites in the distance. 1,000 flames later, what was once darkness becomes daybreak. That's what happens when you share. It's not vanity, it's victory multiplied. When you subscribe, you aren't joining a channel, you're joining a chorus. You're saying, "Let this voice of truth continue." You're keeping the roar alive in a world that keeps trying to silence faith. You're helping the message move where algorithms cannot straight into the hearts of those still wandering. And when your heart stirs to give, to sow a seed, see it not as a transaction, but as participation. You're watering the garden that has been feeding you. You're helping someone else hear what you once needed to hear, that their victory is sealed, that rest is holy, that peace is possible. A single seed can sustain a forest. A single gift can ignite another transformation. Every donation is a bridge, carrying light from one soul to another. Heaven sees it, blesses it, multiplies it, because generosity is heaven's language. Think of the sea and its waves. No wave exists alone. Each one is pushed by another behind it. Your engagement, your like, your share, your support becomes the unseen wave that propels the message forward. You never know whose heart will be reached by the ripple you create. And beyond that, chosen one, your own life becomes an extension of this roar. Every act of kindness, every moment of forgiveness, every word of encouragement is another sound of victory shaking the earth. The roar doesn't stay on your lips, it moves through your living. The roar of triumph is not about noise, it's about resonance. It's heaven saying through you, the story ends in glory. It's your soul singing back, Amen, it is done. Oh, so, as you listen to these words, let joy fill the room around you. Let laughter return to your chest. You have permission to rejoice again. You have permission to live loud in gratitude, to shine bright without apology. You are not stealing the spotlight, you're reflecting the source. And if this message has stirred your heart, let your gratitude become action. Like this message, not for numbers, but for remembrance. Share it so another soul might rise. Subscribe so you don't lose the rhythm of this revelation. And if your heart feels led, sow into this work, not out of pressure, but out of partnership. You're not funding noise, you're fueling light. Because every roar needs breath, every fire needs fuel, every victory story needs voices to keep telling it. And you, chosen one, are one of those voices. Now breathe deep and let joy rise again. The heavens are roaring, the angels are rejoicing, and all of creation is echoing your song, the roar of peace, the roar of power, the roar of purpose fulfilled. You are no longer whispering from the shadows, you are roaring from the summit. You've made it here, not by might, not by perfection, but by grace. Let heaven hear your agreement, not in words only, but in your living, because your life itself has become the roar of triumph. Heaven is rejoicing. Chosen one. The sound is unlike anything the earth can imitate, a symphony woven of light, laughter, and love. The angels are not singing because of what you have accomplished. They are singing because of who you have become. You have stepped fully into identity, into peace, into purpose. The transformation heaven long awaited is complete. You have remembered who you are. All of creation celebrates when one of God's chosen finally awakens. The trees sway differently. The wind moves with new rhythm. Even the air seems charged with reverence, as though it recognizes the divine alignment that now surrounds you. You are no longer wandering, you are walking in sync with heaven. The heavenly realm is not a far-off place you hope to reach one day. It is already touching you. You are living proof that eternity can dwell within time. The divine and the human are no longer divided in your life. They move as one. This is the celebration heaven has been waiting for, not merely a return to faith, but a reunion with divine flow. The voice of Jesus in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 15, verse 10, declares, "There is joy in the presence of God's angels over one sinner who repents." What looks ordinary on earth creates explosions of joy in the unseen. Angels don't rejoice because you're perfect. They rejoice because you keep returning. Every comeback, every step forward, every whisper of "I still believe" becomes music in the courts of heaven. And today, that song plays louder than ever. Your life has become a testimony that no pit is too deep, no darkness too thick, no past too tangled for redemption to reach. The heavens remember every time you thought it was over and every time you chose to rise again. There is a divine smile over your life now. You may not see it, but you feel it in the peace that won't leave, in the warmth that fills rooms when you enter, in the quiet moments when you sense you are never alone. That is heaven's applause. Invisible yet unmistakable. You have become a melody of mercy. The broken pieces of your past have turned into instruments that play the rhythm of grace. What once sounded like sorrow has been rewritten into harmony. You are not a collection of mistakes. You are a composition of miracles. Heaven's celebration is not merely about where you came from, it's also about what you will carry. Because now, you walk as a bridge between realms. You are proof that divine love can live inside human imperfection and still shine with beauty. You carry heaven wherever you go. Every word you speak now carries weight. Your laughter has healing in it. Your silence carries authority. Your prayers, even whispered in the dark, echo across eternity. You have become a vessel through which heaven releases comfort to the weary and strength to the broken. You are not walking to blessing anymore. You are walking as blessing. The kingdom of heaven is expanding through your obedience, your patience, your compassion. What began as personal survival has become collective salvation for others who will encounter your light. The angels see it. They see the ripples of your choices stretching across generations yet unborn. They see how your surrender today will birth freedom tomorrow. That is why heaven rejoices. It knows that your yes will not end with you. Imagine the celebration now. Waves of radiant beings, their wings shimmering like dawn, singing songs older than time, yet freshly inspired by your redemption. The air vibrates with hallelujahs. Light moves like music. Your name, whispered in worship, becomes part of heaven's eternal rhythm. And amid all that glory, the Father smiles. He does not see the one who struggled to believe. He sees the one who believed anyway. He doesn't see the one who fell. He sees the one who kept getting back up. Heaven's celebration is not about crowns or thrones. It's about reunion. The Father's heart has what it longed for. You, restored, radiant, and rooted in love. This joy will never fade. It is eternal. Every time you walk in peace, heaven celebrates again. Every time you extend mercy, another note is added to that celestial song. Every time you lift your eyes to the light, heaven harmonizes with your hope. So, walk gently now, chosen one. You are surrounded by celebration. The angels are not watching from afar. They are moving beside you, guarding you, guiding you, echoing the rhythm of your purpose. The rejoicing will not end, because your story is not over. Silence falls again. Chosen one, not the silence of absence, but the silence of completion. The air feels full, as if the heavens themselves have exhaled. You stand at the end of the journey, but it doesn't feel like an ending. It feels like a ceiling. Every lesson, every tear, every whisper of faith has been gathered together, pressed, and signed by the hand of God. The circle is closing. You can feel it, the gentle finality of something fulfilled. Heaven's work in this chapter of your story is complete. Not one promise has been forgotten. Not one prayer wasted. Not one act of faith unnoticed. The same hands that began your story are now placing the seal upon it. It is written in the Apostles' letter to the Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. You've learned that faith was never about outcomes. It was always about trust. You've discovered that the journey was not about becoming stronger, but about becoming still enough for strength to flow through you. And now, as heaven seals this season, you realize the greatest miracle of all. You have peace. not temporary relief, not surface calm, but deep, unshakable peace that comes from knowing your life rests in divine hands. This seal is invisible but irreversible. It's written across your spirit. It is done. You have walked through pain, faced uncertainty, and survived storms, but none of it was wasted. Every fragment has been woven into wholeness. Every shadow has been turned into a story. Every wound has been repurposed into wisdom. The journey has not broken you. It has branded you with purpose, with purity, with peace. You are not who you were when this began. You are softer now, yet stronger. You listen more than you speak. You discern more than you react. You carry heaven's quiet confidence, the kind that does not need to prove anything, because it already knows everything works together for good. There is something sacred about being sealed by God. It's the assurance that no power can tamper with what He has declared finished. The enemy can no longer reopen old wounds or rewrite what grace has already resolved. You are marked as untouchable. You walk differently now. You move like someone who has seen the inside of heaven's courtroom and heard the verdict. Not guilty, fully loved, forever chosen. The battles of yesterday have become trophies in the spirit. They remind you not of struggle, but of survival. Every scar tells a story of mercy. Every silence testifies of strength. Every delay confirms divine timing. The seal of completion also carries direction. It does not say stop, it says shift. You will not go back to old cycles, old fears, or old versions of yourself. You have graduated from striving into sovereignty. You now operate from peace, not pressure, from identity, not insecurity. The old rhythm of chaos no longer fits you. Your steps now follow the steady tempo of grace. You no longer ask, "What if I fail?" but rather, "What can love create through me next?" The sealing of God is not the closing of your story, it's the confirmation that the foundation is unshakable. From here, you will build, bless, and become even more of what heaven intended. The Father's hand rests gently on your shoulder. He whispers, "You made it, not because you never stumbled, but because you never stopped." His seal is both a commendation and a commissioning. It says, "Well done," and also, "Go forward." Oh, in this moment, time seems to still. The winds quiet. The angels bow. And heaven's light wraps around you like a cloak. You realize that every breath you take now is part of eternity breathing through you. You are no longer striving toward the promise, you have become part of it. Let peace settle deeply now. Let gratitude fill every corner of your heart. The same God who sealed your victory will sustain your future. The same presence that guided you through the valley will walk with you through every new dawn. This is not the end, chosen one. It is the beginning of endless rest. The seal has been pressed. The ink of grace is dry. Heaven whispers the final words over this chapter of your life. It is done. You are sealed in eternal rest. And so, the story of the chosen one closes not with noise, but with peace. The journey that began in uncertainty ends in absolute assurance. You have walked through fire and rain, through silence and song, and discovered that every season had its purpose. This script was not just words, it was a mirror, a reflection of your becoming, your breaking, and your rebirth. You have read your own transformation between the lines. You have remembered that you were never ordinary. You were always chosen. The call of heaven has always been more than survival. It has been sanctification. Every tear was baptism. Every test was training. Every triumph was testimony. And now, your life stands as living proof that God finishes what He begins. As you step beyond these words, know that the same presence that met you here goes with you. You carry heaven in your heart, peace in your bones, and destiny in your breath. You no longer walk as one searching for purpose. You walk as purpose itself. Let gratitude guide your days, and let stillness protect your nights. Remember that the victory was never earned, it was inherited. You were never meant to fight forever. You were meant to rest in what is finished. So breathe. Beloved, the war is over. The seal stands firm. Heaven has spoken. It is done.